to Jeffrey Peterson.
Okay, he's going to pinch him off here, meaning you can see
you
can see the leeward boat coming up there very quickly. That's called the lee bow position. That'll force the other boat to tack away.
And Jeffrey is out there watching as well. Jeff?
Yes, like I said, I think, I agree with Matt there. Getting an offsetting penalty at that point in the line or at that point in the start is really a huge thing. It kind of wipes your race clean. You can take a deep breath, reset. You're no longer on the back foot. And I honestly think that Heiho ended up having a better start there. Pendergast getting the ley line to the boat end a little bit wrong, having to tack at go, so he's down speed. And now I think Heiho, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys come back, but he looks pretty strong out here on the left side.
Okay, gang, now we've got the Hyde Heiho match coming up here. Are they entered now, Matt, or that was their?
Yeah, they just entered.
So
yes,
that's Josh Hyde,
345.
Oliver Lloyd, Vasilis Katsaidis, I believe is the pronunciation. And he is racing against James Heiho from Australia. And Andy, an important match.
Yeah, James win his first race there. I believe he did.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? If he did, so he's
split. It's the team that has won the second of the two matches.
Yep.
Will get the nod.
And that's what I was talking about. There's various levels of the tie-breaking system.
Has to go, I think they're early, I'm going to go behind them, or I think they're late, I'm going to go in front of them. And then other people like to be the one behind who goes, I think they're late, I'm going to go in front of them. So, there's a different people like doing different things. So here they're both discussing what do they want to do, how much time to go back to the line here. Bit more pressure here, so generally it's a little bit easier to keep the boats going in faster. With this extra knot of breeze, that just helps a little bit, but there's a lot of swell here that can really slow up the boats when they build. You can see out of the tacks at times even that you lose a lot if you tack at the wrong time. Big rolling waves, breeze, a little bit more breeze that generally comes in depending on the exact swell at 9 to 12 knots. So it
would have been. He's still going to get the start, but
it's still a good start. If you want the pin end, it's a good thing right now for Heiho.
Yep.
If he wants the committee boat, came back a little bit low. I personally would rather be at the pin end, so I think he's doing the right thing here. 19 seconds, and Hyde's done a good job just to bait him down the line, open up that 4 or 5 boat lengths towards the starboard end. So as Heiho has less room to build in, and then Hyde can come off on port, build speed, and get a nice committee boat end start.
Matt, you just said you'd rather have the pin end, which is what Heiho has. Why?
I think it's a little bit further up wind, so like it's half a boat length gain, so you're just that little bit further.
Closer to the weather mark.
Yeah.
If you start there, you have slightly less distance to sail. Now, wind shifts will generally, change that a lot if there are any.
And pressure on left or right side of the course.
But it's always good to win the start. And winning the start involves going fastest at the favored end of the line, meaning the end of the line closest to the windward mark.
Now, Matt, look up the track and let's see what you think is for pressure and for shifts.
Right now, it looks like it's right phase for Hyde and Heiho. So Hyde is very low on port here. So if he were able to be able to tack over onto starboard right now, which he could do, so he obviously likes something out here. I'm not seeing a lot of pressure right now on this far right-hand side, but if you're sailing on a header, you've got to have a reason to be doing it.
Right. He's moving quite well, actually, Matt.
He's won a lot of races this week, so there's probably a reason.
Okay, here's the next start. We're in the 4 minutes. This is when they enter the yellow flag from the race committee boat and the blue flag from the pin end. And this is Melkior with entering from the port end, and Sienna Nicholls from the starboard end.
So, if you look at the scores, you would expect Sienna to win this. But as we've said, again, a cliche, but anybody can beat anybody on a given race.
Well, certainly this week.
Yeah, but for Sienna, if she wins this, again, I'm not predicting because the tie-breaking system will have to be, it'll take a little bit for the committee to do that. But she at least, if she wins this, she has done everything she can do to preserve that semifinal spot. And that's all you can ask.
And when we know the 4 semifinalists here at the end of this Flight 22, which is the wrap up of the rounds robin, they will have a meeting on the signal boat with PRO Don Becker. And the first place team coming out of the rounds robin gets to choose, Andy.
Yep.
Which of the other 3 teams are going to race.
Which, as Jeffrey Peterson said this morning, can be a little bit, he said it differently, but a little bit dicey. Sometimes that's an honor that you're a little scared to accept. Because we've seen a number of cases where the first bait boat chooses basically just the wrong boat to sail against and loses. In fact, I think that happened to Jeffrey. He did that in, I think, the U.S. qualifications for the match racing title. And he chose a team that he had beaten, or didn't. He chose a team that, the other team, and the team that he had just consistently beaten over a period of years, he didn't choose them. And he ended up losing that semifinal match. So.
Well, and what often happens is that you've just beaten somebody in the rounds robin, and they, along with yourself, are in the semis, and you say, you know, we've got their number.
Yep.
We can beat them in the semis, so let's choose them, even if they were second or third. Normally, however, you choose the fourth place boat if you're the first place chooses fourth. Melkior and Nicholls. This is, I guess, Andy, this is a must-win match for Nicholls.
Yeah, I think so. You know, maybe not because of the tiebreaker, because some of the other boats that were tied have gone down a couple races. But
certainly helps her chances.
But I think she has to win this, and then, you know, see what happens. See how the tiebreakers work.
Incredibly tight. And you said months ago that this was one of the best and across the board competitive fields we've ever had, at least in memory here in the Gov Cup.
Yeah, without question, Tom. How many, you know, we saw one race yesterday, the day before, there was literally a photo finish. We didn't know who had won until the race committee hoisted one of the flags.
Well, and a lot of the matches,
a lot of them were overlapped. I mean, literally within a meter or something of winning or losing. And I've never seen so many. Again, in recent memory, I don't remember so many close races as we've had in this 59th Governor's Cup.
Well, you remember them all. You go back to the third and the fourth?
Yes, but, you know.
I wasn't even born then.
Oh, God.
So here we got 30 seconds to go here. Nicholls wide right. Really good position to be in because Melkior very close to this pin ley line, so he doesn't have a lot of room to build up speed, so likely to have to struggle to get around this mark or go a bit slow. So he's real good job here by Nicholls.
Well, and what she did there was great. She has now forced him. He was happy to stay there luffing and then start. She forced him farther down the line.
Yeah.
And oh boy, look at this.
Yeah, so there she's got a nice, clean, fast forward start. He maybe was on the line, but he was slow. So, you know, at go maybe they were even, but then, you know, 10 seconds in, 20 seconds in like we are now, just popping that boat length forward, which is so key. Like match racing starts come down to 2 or 3 foot in that first cross often.
Well, Melkior, I must say, also had really great time of distance on that. Both of them did a superb job at time of distance because even though he was going slow, I mean, he was right as close as you can be without being over.
In those previous matches, in flights 1 and 2, Vesterland's leading Prendergast, and Hyde, no surprise, is leaving Heiho after what we saw him do at the start. And we're watching Melkior and Nicholls as they go up their first leg of four.
It's really a boat speed race. Like, you know, we talk about the tactics, we talk about the decision making, but here this is just pure boat speed race. This is who's the fastest.
Yep.
And I think Nicholls, she sailed these boats a lot.
A great evening.
Going upwind, though, I'll tell you, we were flat, Tom. The boat was flat.
Well, and I haven't looked at the results of Stan, but you won by heaps.
We won, by quite a bit. But, well, it was great fun. The other boats had lots of the Gov Cup crews, and it was really a fun night, and I think everybody enjoyed it.
So their big move by Melkior just to gain that half a boat length faster through the water.
See what Sienna and her crew are made of, because she's not far behind, but boy, she needs to win this race.
Back here around us, they're using us on.
Well, and with his crew, we spent a little time last couple of nights with the best name of any of the sailors here.
Andre Dassault?
No, Tusker Lordley.
Oh, the crew, yes, indeed.
And Tusker explained to me day before yesterday that evidently his father, there's an island with the lighthouse on it in Southern Ireland. I said, oh, you mean the Fastnet? He says, no, there's a Tusker Island. And so his dad decided he would name him after Tusker. Tusker is his middle name. I guess he's actually Daniel the third or fourth or something, but he likes Tusker, and he's got quite a personality.
Andre also sailing with Lucas Smith and the aforementioned Tusker Lordley. That is a great name. I said that in the morning show this morning.
Yep.
And Peter Hurley, he is sailing again, that we mentioned earlier, with Dylan C., who's from here, Newport Harbor Yacht Club, and is up at your alma mater at Stanford going into his junior year, plus a superb sailor, Michael Sentovich.
Yep, absolutely, also from here. So Peter got a West Coast crew, and that's why he's doing so well.
Well, I don't know if the East Coast, if Commodore Claire Harrington and some of the others. No, I can't imagine anybody beating on you, Andrew. So coming downhill now, Matt, who do we have?
Got Melkior with the black kite, Nicholls with the blue kite. So they haven't jibed here, so got a long jibe on starboard coming in. So Nicholls here waiting to pounce. Melkior going to have to jibe here, get a good jibe, and get breathing out front. So here, really, really, really big, for Nicholls here. She's not locked into the semifinals here. She doesn't necessarily need to win, but she's got to do it to control her destiny. Really, really, really important.
Rolled him by meaning what Matt was saying. She caused his Spinnaker to collapse by rolling over him. So now, at another lead change, she is now in the lead.
So here now, Nicholls got to try and gain another half length and just be able to jibe across the bow whenever she would want to. Here for Melkior, the exact opposite. Try and gain half a boat length and stop Nicholls jibing.
So two lead changes, right, Matt?
2 lead changes so far.
Let's go out to Jeffrey Peterson on the roving boat.
Yeah, that was a spicy one. I think this was really, a product of Melkior's set. Nicholls and team had a beautiful set and was able to lock in and right into that leeward corner. Admittedly, now she is not laying the zone of the pin, so this could be a downwind jail situation here. I think she's going to be able to soak and make it, but if Victor is able to catch up here a little bit and close that distance, I don't know if she's got a jibe here, guys.
Well, she's hoping she doesn't have to, I can tell you that.
She's definitely hoping, and I think she'll soak down and in, but it could be. I actually don't. I think what he's doing right now is great. She, this entire time, is sailing in his bad breeze.
Yep.
Now, admittedly, he's not doing a very good job of sailing with his spinnaker right now, but he had the opportunity there to put the bad breeze on, and I think he missed opportunity to gain. I actually liked the setup that he had. I just didn't like the execution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's got it split tack here, going around the opposite mark to the right-hand side here. So, he maybe didn't execute it perfectly, but did the right game plan.
Yeah, I think it's just a much more conservative play there, Boxes. So which side you'd be picking on this race course?
I think it looks pretty even. Definitely not. It looks like left-hand phase right now, but maybe at the top there's a little bit pressure right. So, a tough race course, you got to pick your time to come back. Come back when you're lifted and get on a gain factor.
Well, Jeffrey,
yeah, and importantly here, I think the breeze has definitely stepped up over the last 30 minutes or so. I think we've got a very, very solid 7-8 knots here. We're starting to see all the teams hiking out, and maybe the weight's going to start to come into effect. I know Sienna and team are 4 up versus Melkior's 3 up, and they look admittedly a little small, so we'll see if that ends up playing any bit in this race as well.
Well, Jeffrey, the reason I asked you that question downwind, would you try to climb up and go back directly upwind of the mark and try that? But the key to it is just what you said. She's a good enough sailor. She probably would not have fallen for that. And if so, then Melkior has put himself in a worse position. But, but it's a tactic that sometimes works.
I agree, and I think if they had more distance to go, or that was the final run, that's your only play.
Yep.
But given that you're going into the gates, I think it's a smart play. I don't know. I think Sienna's had a monster lefty here, and I think she's going to come back well ahead in this race.
Really? All right. Well, not all right. I'm totally neutral.
Yes, well, I agree with Jeff. That's what it looks like here.
Well, here we go. We're going to have a cross coming up.
She's definitely starting to fall down here. I'm on Victor's hip, but I think it's a sure cross at the very least.
Looks like she's across by 2 lengths, maybe a little bit less. But definitely here, if you're Nicholls, you want to get across, get that right-hand side, get the starboard advantage. Because then Melkior needs to gain the boat length or 2 to get even with you, the boat length of your boat, and then another boat length to get clear ahead. So he's got to make a big gain out left, which very hard in these conditions, which are relatively stable right now.
Sienna did
this
another.
Race is still.
Go ahead. Sienna did another great thing there that, she was clear ahead, so she could have tacked directly on him, but instead she carried on, be sure her speed was the best it could be before attack, and has put herself a beam almost of the other boat, between the other boat and the mark. So really well done. Attacking
what
right
looks
away,
like a righty too.
yeah, attacking right away and leading him out would not have been a good move.
No, I certainly
she
agree
looks
with
like
that
she's lifted.
positioning.
Yeah,
That being said, you can really close up a lot of downwind leg here. I don't think it is as far behind. It's all going to come down to a set here, but if you're within 2 boat lengths, I think you're going to capitalize on that downwind.
Well,
yep, Melk, you're definitely close enough, but really nice job from Nicholls though to tack below the starboard ley line, which gives her time right now for the bow person to put their pole on and get it a good set. Because here, the key here is just keep it clean, keep it simple, get a good set, and as you can see there, that's a pretty damn good set.
Yeah,
that's a big lead too.
She has sailed this leg brilliantly. Jeffrey, we always said about you that about being, Melkior is going to be too far behind to do it, but the worst thing you could ever be is ahead of Jeffrey Peterson by 2 boat lengths, only 2 boat lengths at the weather mark. Harry Price was pretty good at that too.
He was.
I think Hyde was the inspiration of the downwind wheels. Max and I spent many hours. This upwind can shut off the passing lanes, but downwind it opens up a whole new game. And if you can find the wheels pose to your competitors, it's really an advantage. And it looks like Sienna and her team doing a masterful job. That set was absolutely to die for, scrumptious like a lemon
perfect.
pepper wing almost.
There you go. It was absolutely perfect.
It's another new term of art, a scrumptious set. At least there's some alliteration there.
Yep.
Yeah, I like to have fun with my commentary. Keep the viewership on their toe. I never know what I'm going to say.
Well, that's good because the rest of us are pretty boring.
You got nothing to worry about from me. But I don't know how the scores are making up. I think this is a very good race for Sienna to win here. I would be, like I said, not making any predictions. As I look upwind as well, I know she's tied or in close with Sam, who's currently out with Morgan Pickney on this weather beat. So a lot to play for here. This is what we love to see coming in Friday into the semifinals. A lot of racing still to be had.
In the other matches, Westerland from Sweden has beaten Prendergast from Chicago. Hyde, in fact, Josh Hyde, who's leading the event, did in fact beat Heiho. I think there was a penalty that we had erased in that, didn't Ken? Was there a penalty and then it was on the board and he raced? Yeah, against Heiho, thank you. And Nicholls is leading Melkior, as you can see, but they're coming in. She's got a big lead now.
Yeah, and if Nicholls wins this race, which she should do from here, 100 yards to go with a 50-yard lead, that means that she books a place in the semifinals.
I think it does. Prendergast is definitely out of it, and she's now, I think she's 1 point ahead of Kemp, and those were the other two with whom she was tied. The tie-breaking thing is still pretty complex, and I hate to make predictions, but I think you are correct. I think she has now made the semifinals.
She'll be a whole race ahead of 4th place if she wins this race.
You're looking at the Match Racing Results Service. Anybody can watch this, follow this virtually live, the scoring on Match Racing Results. Sir, Matt, is that?
.com.
.com. Match Racing Results.com.
And once you have it on, you never have to update it, because it automatically will update as race results come in. And I forget the guy's name that founded it, but it has been incredibly useful and helpful in watching match racing worldwide.
Indeed. He covers all the events, and of course we're at the top of the list because this is the 59th edition of the Governor's Cup, the oldest and most prestigious event in youth match racing here at Balboa Yacht Club in the beautiful Pacific Ocean, I don't know, for a half a mile off the beach. A lot of cheering over there, which would seem to indicate Matt is right.
Yep.
That Sienna Nicholls is into the semis. And Andrew, if Kemp beats Fong, who's leading in that match?
They're about to come off the start line now. Ethan is tacking at the committee boat. Fong taking the pin end of the line. I think it's going to be attack from both boats at go, because Kemp not laying the pin at go here.
And if Kemp wins this match, do we think he's in the semis?
No. because he lost that first race, and Sienna has won
indeed.
both of her races, so she will be 1 point ahead of him. So I think
So
Matt
she,
is correct.
yeah, that's right. And Sam Scott will be in Heiho and Hyde.
Yeah, and Pinckney going in a race behind Nicholls there, with Nicholls winning that race, knocks Pinckney out of contention.
Gentlemen, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that not only makes Sienna our first women's skipper to make the semifinals in quite some time, if not ever. I know Claire Costanzo had some good runs, but that might be the first women's skipper in Gov Cup history to make semifinals. And I would need to check my facts here, but that also might be the youngest skipper ever to make it to the semifinals.
Okay, well, as the institutional memory of the Governor's Cup, two things. First, Giselle Camay of San Diego has won the Cup, the only woman to have won the Cup. Silja Lehtinen from Finland was a semifinalist and eventually got second, only because she wasn't heavy enough. She had won the round robin. But at 17, we don't know, we haven't gone back to look at the exact months, but as I was saying earlier, Dr. Don Becker, our PRO's son, Jeff Becker, won when he was 17, and Nevin Snow won when he was 17, and also when he was 22. So anyway.
Well, that's why we keep you around, Andy, because you remember these things.
There you go. But you are correct. This is a phenomenal performance by a 17-year-old. It's
Exactly.
in this kind of competition, especially in a regatta where the competition was so, really good sailors and intense, and Heiho was right in this. It's not a cliche. In this one, anybody can literally beat anybody else in any given race.
The quote we used in the press release 2 nights ago. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And it is a bit cliche. You hear that all the time. But this week here in Newport Beach, I think that's a more than fair statement.
Yep.
And I think it's also one of those things about the boats as well is that they're easy to sail at 95%. They're really hard to sail at 100%. So it does reward
Good
the teams
comment.
that can do the boat handling well, but it does mean if your boat handling's not perfect, you can still be competitive if you do the right things tactically. So there's 2 ways to win the race, whereas, if you sail some other boats, you just got to sail the boat fast. If you sail some other boats, you just got to be on the tactics, whereas there's 2 ways to win the race.
Yep.
Coming downhill, you can see the spinnakers. That's Herlihy and Dassault. And Herlihy is the yellow kite with a comfortable lead over Dassault with the red spinnaker. Andy, these are spinnakers, not Jennikers. Why?
For match racing. We talked to when these boats were being thought about and designed. Dave Perry was one of the biggest advocates, but I was also an advocate of symmetrical spinnakers because for match racing tactics, I think that's better. The boats are closer together. Otherwise, with the more modern boats with ASO, as we call them, an asymmetrical spinnaker, you end up reaching a lot more. It's much harder to pass there. So that's why we did that, and I think it was a very good decision, and I think you can see from the close racing here, and we've had lead changes a lot.
So just to loop back, a little bit of a correction. In the Pinckney-Scott race, whoever wins this race is the winner, gets the final semi-final spot.
Really?
So they're going head-to-head.
Really?
So they're in Pinckney in a red kite, Scott in a blue kite, going up the beat right now. So
I can report in on that. Pinckney currently leading out to the left-hand line, tacking, as you see now, tacking on the Sam Scott breeze. I would estimate to be about.
Well, I talked to Morgan afterwards yesterday, and he looked at the scoreboard. He said, "Well, I'm out of it." I said, "No, you're not." I said, a lot can happen, and there are a lot of the boats that are ahead of you are sailing each other. So one of them is going to always come back a point. And I wasn't sure I was right, but I'm glad. I hope you're right, Manny, because that would be great. And he certainly didn't give up. You can tell that. I mean, he's came out here to win 2 races, period.
I'm going to blame Christophe Chamont if it's wrong, because he just texted me that. So if it's right, then, I was the one who said it. But if it's wrong, then he's the one who told me.
And Christophe went to Yale, so I guess we should respect that.
And now he's in Miami, so we're not sure what happens
actually,
there.
we're not. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Well, with Morgan Pinckney also at Yale, you don't think Christoph's maybe a touch?
Well, he's probably a little touch prejudiced, but that would be awesome. last year, Morgan has sailed in under 4 years. He started when he was, this is his fifth, I guess. He started when he was 16 and has gotten 2 podium finishes in third and 2 sixth. So I think he would very much like to be back on the podium. He was able to beat Josh Hyde in the Petit Finale last year to get third in the regatta, and he's had a pretty big year already. So it would be great to see the world champion in the semifinals here. I trust both Matt and Christoph, so I'm not going to say anything.
And Kemp has the chance to go on the same number of wins as Pinckney should Pinckney win, but Pinckney beat him in round robin 2, so I think that will mean that he gets it. But there might be like a 4-way tie that I'm not smart enough to figure that out.
So
Me neither.
Kemp is still in the hunt.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Pinckney is still in the hunt. If he wins this match, Pinckney coming downhill. Well, this other match we should touch on first is the Kemp-Fong match, right? That's the gray kite leading. Kemp is leading, but just over Fong, who have the green kite. Then you can see back behind them on their final leg, that is Pinckney in the red kite and Sam Scott from New Zealand, one of the 3 teams from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. And Morgan's got a big lead.
And unfortunately for Sam Scott, he is carrying a penalty. So unfortunately, this might be signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours for Michael Pick or for Morgan.
Back in the old days of the NFL commentary, the former Dallas quarterback would say, start singing, turn out the lights, the party's over. And that may be true for Sam Scott. So he has not had a good day, Mr. Scott. Great guy and sailed very well and certainly deserved to be here. He's one of the top sailors from the Australia-New Zealand circuit, really, Tom. It's like 8 or 9 regattas that most of them have done at least 6 of. And so it's complex on the selection committee.
Do you remember how old he is? Because it struck me that we had him on the stage for the morning show, I think on Wednesday. He's one of the younger sailors as well.
Yeah,
Sam Scott?
I don't believe he's 22. We have 5 sailors who are 22 who will not be eligible again. But let's look for Sam here. No, he's 22. So this will be his one and only Governor's Cup.
His swan song.
His swan song. But the good news is there are 2 regattas in Australia which are under 25 rather than under 23. The Jim Hardy, the Hardy Trophy, which named after the great Australian sailor and a great friend of mine, Jim Hardy, and then the Warren Jones, which is in Western Australia.
Who was a great friend of mine.
Who was a great friend of mine also, and my manager when I sailed in the America's Cup for Australia. He was incredibly, both Jim Hardy and Warren Jones were incredibly inspirational people to me. They were just amazing, and I am so honored to have known them and sailed with them.
Matt, what are we watching here now is 2 teams coming uphill.
So now we're not watching that anymore. So Pinckney crossing the line. So Pinckney got into crossing the line, ahead of his competition there, which I think being a must-win match, and I think that makes him win the place for 4th in the overalls.
So Scott drops out of the.
Yeah, so I think they're both tied on wins. And
tell us what's happening. He's a great guy from the Chalmont family, Fort Worth Boat Club in Fort Worth, Texas. He went to Yale, graduated, now working in Miami, as you mentioned, Andy. And his sister is one of our camera ops. And the mom and dad are 2 of the nicest, most enthusiastic supporters of youth match racing, at least in this country, if not the world.
Yeah, and Pinckney beat Kemp and Scott in round robin 1. So, he's gone a straight sweep of people tied on race wins. So, that's pretty much, he didn't know it at the time, but winning the races, you got to win. It's not just 1 point there, it's 1 point taken away from someone else. So,
exactly.
Really winning those races. So,
yep.
Pinckney, obviously, he's had bad races against the other teams compared to Kemp and Scott, but winning the races against the people that at the end of the day have been your tiebreak, that's always useful.
Well, he's peaking at the right time. But I told him yesterday I like to be right, and I told him he wasn't out of it. So he's going to owe me a drink or something. Well,
a ranch water?
A ranch water, yeah. Well, that's great. I am excited about all these sailors, and anybody that would win this, I'd be very happy for. But But Morgan's really become a good friend and a good crewmate on It's Okay, and he's become a good friend, and I'm very, very pleased to see him do that. Having said that, I don't know Sam Scott as well, but Daniel Kemp has become a friend over the last couple of years of his Governor's Cup experience. He's a terrific guy and a terrific representative of a great club, the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club in Pittwater.
And Royal Prince Alfred has the first ever female Commodore, as does New York. So a bit of note there about how cool the RPA is.
Yep.
Rob McClellan is a big fan of Sailing Illustrated and watches a lot of this week as well. He's the immediate past Commodore. Is Daniel Kemp coming downhill on the fourth and final leg with Louis Tilley and Charlie Verity representing the Royal Prince Alfred, which is also in Sydney, and he's got a good lead. And we are having an unofficial from our statistician and our crack spotter Ken Sherb here on the boat that the 4 semifinalists are
Josh Hyde, James Heiho, Sienna Nicholls, and Morgan Pinckney and their respective teams.
I absolutely trust Ken Sherb with almost everything, so I'm going to take that as gospel. So congratulations to all, and for making it in by the skin of their teeth, the skins of their teeth for Sienna and Morgan on a huge day here. You know, I just told Morgan, just win 2 races and see what happens. You know.
And this match, therefore, Ken Sherb, our spotter, Kemp Fong match is not relevant to the semifinalists. Is that right? Thank you.
That is right.
But Kemp doing a really good job of just extending out of these leeward marks. He really went fast up that next beat to get a good lead, and now sailing the boat well downwind just to get a nice, big, comfortable lead coming into the finish. 150 yards to go to the finish here. You know, it's not going to make a difference for him going forwards, but, you know, really nice to finish the round robin on a good result, even if it's not the result overall that they wanted.
Ethan Fong coming down on the last leg, representing the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. Ethan Fong sailing with Harry McMullen and Lucas Day. And they've had an up and down regatta, but one of the nicest, I was having a long natter with them, as you would say, Matt, this morning. Terrific group. Yeah, actually, all 12 teams. I can't remember a Gov Cup, and I don't think I've ever said that before. I don't remember a Gov Cup where all 12 teams have been so enthusiastic, so lady and gentlemanly, if that's an expression. And it's just been so far.
Some great senses of humor. And
indeed.
No, it's a great group. I should mention that, we sort of knew this was going to happen, or we thought it would happen, but just as an example, they had a sail-off basically in New Zealand to see who got to represent New Zealand in the Youth Worlds in June, and Josh Hyde would have been the favorite, and Ethan Fong beat him. So again, anybody can beat anybody on a given day, and you just got to put together a consistent regatta, and so far these four semifinalists have done so.
So that's the last match of Flight 22, which wraps up the round-robin phase, the double round-robin phase, as Andy said at the top of this segment, that he, and I 100% agree, it's better to have a double round-robin rather than a round-robin, than a quarterfinals and a semifinals. And the reason that we like the double round-robin is because it gives the teams, especially who are new to sailing here in Newport Beach or new to these boats, the Gov Cup 22s, a chance to learn, to acclimate. And we've seen, Andy, many times where the teams have, frankly, stuffed the first round robin and come back strong in the second.
Without question.
Okay, that's it for the round robin phase. We'll get the race committee. The teams are going to go over there to the race committee boat. Chris, do we have Max Mooseman over there? Because we don't. So we don't have a camera op, but PRO Don Becker will meet with those 4 teams, and the first place team will choose which of the other 3 they
I
will
would
race.
not want to choose, Tom.
Well, I was just going to ask you.
I would not want to choose.
I was just going to ask you and Matt,
oh my
and
God.
I'm going to go to Jeffrey. Do we have Jeffrey? I'm going to go to each of you. Who would you choose?
Boy, I wouldn't choose Morgan.
Just because he's the current youth
he's
match
the world
racing
champion,
world champion,
and he just sailed 2 brilliant races today. So he's on a roll. I mean, he's back. And I think he's very excited, but also very confident now that he's back.
So who would you choose? Josh Hyde has got to choose one of these three.
Maddie?
I'm staying silent for a reason.
What a bunch of croutons. You're commentators. You're supposed to explain why. I'll go to Jeffrey Peterson. I'll bet you I'll get an opinion.
Yeah, ask Jeffrey.
Nah, you know what? I will chime in here. I'll weigh in. Look, Josh, I think is in a tricky position. You've got 3 teams that have all proven that they can win races. And I think here's the thing, right? You look at Morgan Pickney, you'd say, okay, he didn't have the greatest start to the regatta, but he's hot today. How much are you willing to bet? Are you willing to bet your finals ticket that you can beat him when he's running hot? I don't know. Then you look at Sienna, who's managed to sail a very good regatta just through and through, kind of hanging in right at the mid to upper pack, and then now wins the races that mattered when she won them. You'd have to argue that she's hot too, and so you're left with James Heiho, which I admittedly don't know too much about. I think if you're Hyde here, I think the safe play is just go pick number 4, right? Whoever's in 4th place, even if that is Morgan Pickney, I think you can be justified in saying, hey, I don't want to get too technical here. I don't want to get, too cute and try to pick the 2 or the 3. One picks 4, and then if you lose, you're like, hey, well, I picked the 4th place team and I lost to them, so be it. But if I was ever in a bind about really I didn't have a strong opinion about who I wanted to pick, I would just go with the 4th place team, because at the end of the day, that's the expected move. And if some regattas don't let you to choose, you'd be assigned them anyways.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that. It's just that I think when you're sailing, I agree with you, and I said already that Morgan is definitely on a roll right now, and he's dangerous. I mean, he is a really good sailor. But boy, as I said, I wouldn't want to choose. I really wouldn't.
I think one thing to note is that both Pinkney and Nicholls are 4 up, whereas Heiho is only 3 up. So if you think this is conditions where you don't want to race a 4-up team, or you do want to race a 4-up team, you get 2 races today, and that might be something to think about. And then tomorrow it might be a bit lighter for the first couple of races. So
what's your prediction on the wind for the rest of today and tomorrow?
I mean, the breeze seems pretty good right now. We've got a lot of white horses. I think this is probably 4-up conditions. This is the heavier is faster up winds. So I'd probably lean towards racing a 3-up team, but then you're choosing a guy who's got more race wins over the course of the week. So again, going to annoy you and not give an opinion.
That's a really good point.
I was just looking to see who was 3-up and 4-up just to be sure. But Commodores, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for a break, a pause for the cause here. We'll soon find out who Josh Hyde has chosen as his semifinal opponent. And we'll be back, Chris, in 15 minutes or so? Thank you very much for joining us here at the 59th edition of the Governor's Cup, and we'll be back live in about 15 minutes.